Hello there, kia ora. Look, I just want to point out that this morning's video was not true at all. It's what we call a terrible April Fool's Day joke, and I'm really sorry, there is no plugin that you can get specifically for your browsers that are going to go through and correct news headlines. Woke as a program or a plugin is a bit of a pipe dream. But that's pretty much where the video's falsities end. You see, I do actually work with data engineers and data architects on a regular basis. It is something that pays my bills. At the same time, we don't necessarily deal with things like building plugins, but we do deal with generative AI and large language models. And some of the information that was within that video is also scaringly accurate. For example, those headlines that were changed, those were actual headlines that show a really clear right-leaning bias that minimizes the impact to a group of people or deliberately catastrophizes something to make people read the story. But in reality, most people only read the headlines before making a decision, which is why it's so important to make sure that you read the full story and that you read from multiple sources to give you a much fairer idea and understanding as to what's actually going on. And when you see laid out in front of you just how right-leaning some of our media headlines are, that's a little scary and confronting for people. And while it's also really important to remember that it's funny for Mike Hosking to sit there and whine and moan about the fact that he's a millionaire and people just don't understand how hard that is, he does have a really dedicated audience who listen to everything he says. And it would be great to be able to fix that, to make them understand that poor people aren't the problem, but Mike Hosking doesn't do that and he still gets the rating, so News Talk ZB are never going to fix that. And while it would be great to be able to point out to people visiting things like Reality Check Radio or the platform, the problems underlying with those particular media outlets, that's up to them and that's not something that can be forced on them because we don't have the right rules in place that actually monitor online broadcasters and create any kind of rules for them to legally have to follow in terms of accuracy, fairness, and representation. Even that stat that I put out there about the amount of Todayi words that are being used in news articles, that's accurate as of 2022. There was a big research piece that was done using AI that went through and counted the amount of Todayi words being used in mainstream media outlets, and it actually worked out to be about 6.3 for every 1,000 words. That's horrifying. And as much as it would be great to have on call any kind of counter argument for people who complain about the things they always complain about, like debt ratio, for example, I just don't have the skills or ability to be able to build that. But if you do, please do. It's a bit like when you made sure in the States people whose parents were addicted to Fox News that they put on parental controls. That kind of thing helps in a way. It's manipulative and shouldn't really be done, but at the same time, it limits the spread of misinformation and the risk it comes with making sure that people are getting accurate information or sensationalized information to sell headlines. So I hope you weren't too disappointed that woke doesn't actually exist as a computer login plugin thing, but all together we can make the world a better place if we try.